Hi, my name is Alf Langen, and I am 5 days out from a cancer surgery that I had. It's Sunday night as I'm recording this, and last Tuesday morning I had a radical prostatectomy at University of Wisconsin Health, UW-Madison, the Carbone Cancer Center, and had my prostate removed. And while I was preparing for that surgery, I did some research online, and among my research, I found several videos from other men who had been through this process. And a lot of those guys posted some very helpful things. So I thought that perhaps it might help some other people who will be experiencing what I'm experiencing later on if I was to post some of my experiences. Um, I am 61 years old. I am married. We had three adult grown children, and I have a grandson. I'm self-employed as an attorney, and I live in Wisconsin. Um, I have been healthy my entire life, other than having my tonsils out when I was not quite 5 years old. This is the first surgery I've ever had. I've broken bones throughout my life, but I've never really been sick. I've never spent any time in the hospital, certainly not overnight. I've never had any serious diseases. I've just never had anything wrong with me. I've been very blessed with very good health throughout my entire life. Despite my job, I have also been fairly active. I try to stay in shape. I've run 3 marathons. I've skied several cross-country ski races, and done lots of long bike rides, those sorts of things. So I've always been a pretty active person, pretty healthy person, taking care of myself. Never been a smoker, never been much of a drinker. Have a glass of beer or so when we go out to dinner, and that's pretty much it. So the bottom line is that I'm not the kind of person that one would think of, or at least that I wouldn't think of, would come down with something like cancer. It was kind of actually one of the last things that ever occurred to me that would happen to me, and yet it did. About 2 months ago, I had to go in for an exam. This actually all started about 6 months ago when I went in for my annual physical, and my PSA level was a little elevated. And my doctor insisted that I go see the urologist. I actually, and this is lesson number one, listen to your doctor. I actually resisted that. I didn't want to go see my urologist because I didn't think that there was anything wrong. To be fair, my PSA level was slightly elevated the year before, but they ran a second PSA test about 6 months later just to check things, and it was back normal again. So when my PSA level was elevated again this last year, at the end of the year, I thought that was the same thing that was happening again. However, this time, my doctor said, no, really want you to go see a urologist and get further checked out. Everything else was normal. All the other blood tests that they do, everything else was completely normal. Cholesterol, blood sugar, all that stuff. So I wasn't really concerned about anything. So went to the urologist, nice young man, fairly new out of residency, I believe, but very smart, very competent. And they did an MRI, which wasn't a lot of fun, but it was nothing compared to the biopsy that they did a couple weeks later. The MRI, which was non-invasive, revealed that there were a couple of lesions on my prostate. So to follow up with that, they did a prostate biopsy. I'm going to tell you right now, prostate biopsies are no fun. It was not a pleasant process, but it was obviously a necessary process because that's how they find out for sure whether or not there's something wrong. And long story short, they did find something. Now, my Gleason score was a 7, and there's two ways to get to 7, 4 plus 3 or 3 plus 4. I was a 4 plus 3, which put me on the 1 to 5 scale of risk factors put me at a 3. So I was solidly in the middle, which basically meant that the bad news is that I had cancer that was a little bit more aggressive than the kind that you have to take care of right away, or rather than the kind that you can just wait, I should say, and just monitor it, which is what a lot of these prostate cancers turn out to be. But at the same time, it was growing fast enough that we had to do something. After meeting with the urologist, my wife and I decided that the best course of action for me was going to be the prostatectomy. The other option was was radiation. Didn't want to do radiation for a variety of reasons. We decided to do the prostatectomy, and I decided to get a second opinion, because this is lesson number 2, or advice number 2 that I would give to people. Understand that if you get diagnosed with this, you have one chance to do this right. So do it right. Do your due diligence, do your research, and don't be afraid to ask questions, because this is your body, this is your life. So fortunately, my urologist here, very nice young man, like I said, told me he had absolutely no ego about this, and he was fine with me checking this out. And they made the referral to another physician. I live in Wisconsin. I ended up going to the Carbone Cancer Center in Madison at the UW Health hospital system. I met with a Dr. David Gerard, Jarrard, who is a professor in the med school, board certified in prostate cancer treatment, and my urologist here in my hometown told me that he is the grandfather of robotic assisted surgeries in this area. He's done over 3,000 of these. He confirmed the diagnosis. We decided to go ahead with the surgery. I went in for a pre-op physical about 2 weeks before the surgery, where they run you through all the tests. Probably the most comprehensive physical I've ever had. Very interesting physical. And the good news is that it confirmed that, except for this one little thing that will probably kill me if we don't do something about it, I was very healthy. So the doctor was very confident that I would tolerate the surgery well. We made the arrangements, and because I'm making this during the time of COVID, I did have to take a COVID test just before the surgery, even though I am fully vaccinated as of a couple of months ago. But still, had to take a COVID test anyway. And then last week we went in for the surgery. Had to arrive. My surgery was at 7:30 in the morning on a Tuesday, which meant that we had to get down to Madison the night before. Stayed in the hotel that was near the hospital, and then about 6 o'clock in the morning went into the hospital. Very daunting process for somebody like me who has no memory of ever being through surgery before. Like I said, other than my tonsils, this is a first-time experience for me. But I have to say that everybody that I dealt with, from a nursing assistant who brought my meds to me, to the nurses, the doctors, the anesthesiologist, and my surgeon. I mean, everybody from top to bottom, they were terrific and very good to deal with, very professional, and yet very friendly and patient with a person like me who was somewhat nervous about what was happening to him. The process of the surgery was interesting. Met with the anesthesiologist before they brought me into the operating room. Very nice gentleman who explained to me that he'd worked with Dr. Gerard for many years and had done thousands of surgeries with him. So that gave me a lot of confidence in him as well. Going into this with a good attitude is very important from my perspective. And I had a very good attitude going into this. I was very confident in the team of people that were going to be taking care of me. He explained that he was going to give me something to relax me before we went in. And then once we got in there and I scooted onto the table, he would give me something to put me to sleep. And the next thing I would know, I would wake up in recovery. That's exactly what happened. I was a little nervous about being knocked out because it's never happened before, and I didn't know what it was going to be like. Couldn't have been easier, couldn't have been more relaxing. They tell me that I was out for 4 hours. The surgery lasted about that long, until I was awake again in recovery, but it might as well have been 30 seconds, as far as, from my perspective is concerned. Waking up from surgery was interesting. My mouth was very dry, inside and out, and I did get a little nauseous from the anesthesia, but because I hadn't eaten anything the day before, as per their instructions, didn't upchuck anything solid. And although I did have some dry heaves a little bit, but after about 10 minutes that went away. That was really the worst thing that happened after the surgery. I did spend one night in the hospital. It's interesting spending time in a hospital because the staff, as wonderful as they were, they kept waking me up every hour to ask me if I was asleep. But I guess that's just how things work in hospitals. They were wonderful. They kept very close tabs on me, took very good care of me. And I was released late Wednesday afternoon, the day after the surgery. We live about 2.5 hours away. The ride home was interesting because I could feel every single bump in the road, but we got home. Now, the last several days since I've been home have been an interesting experience. I have a catheter, a Foley catheter, inserted into my bladder that comes out through my urethra and into a bag that is now hanging off to my side. One of the weird sensations about all of this is that I haven't had the urge to go to the bathroom since the surgery, because everything that I drink, when it goes into the bladder, it just runs right out the tube. So there's no sensation there as far as wanting to go to the bathroom. I'm not going to lie, having a catheter inserted in that area is not the most comfortable thing in the world. However, as long as I take care of the area by keeping things clean and keeping keeping a pad in the inside of the underwear, it's been okay. I mean, I'm able to tolerate it. I've been sleeping in a chair in my family room, basically because the instructions that they gave me were that I should not lie down flat while I have the catheter in me, because they want gravity to work. They want the urine to run out of me and into the bag. They don't want the urine backing up into my bladder, which can cause an infection. So, guys, get ready. As long as you have a catheter in you, you're going to be sleeping in a chair. Now, my surgery was on a Tuesday, and I'm getting the catheter out this coming Thursday. So, in my case, I'll have the catheter in me for about 9 days. And I'll post another video later and let you know how that went. I have felt okay. Ran a little bit of a fever for a while, but never got over 100 degrees, so never had to call the doctor or anything. My appetite has diminished. I have to basically force myself to eat. And I've always been a pretty healthy eater, but since this surgery, I just really haven't been hungry. My energy level is getting better every day. I have to say that now, 5 days from surgery, and I feel 100% better than I did the first day or two. As I said, we came home Wednesday, got home Wednesday evening about 6:30, 7 o'clock. Thursday and Friday were difficult days. Not much energy. A lot of pain down in the groin area, particularly where the catheter was, getting used to that. Another tip, wear underwear that's going to hold things in. So if you have briefs or boxer briefs, not loose-fitting boxers, I recommend that you wear those, because the mistake that I made is I wore regular boxers the first couple days, thinking that it would be better if I had things loose. Well, it turns out that actually irritates things because things are moving around. So, but when I switched to the tighter fitting underwear, my comfort level went up tremendously. Um, like I said, I've had to force myself to eat, but you have to do it. You have to keep up your strength. As far as my energy level is concerned, yesterday, Saturday, is when I feel like I kind of started to turn the corner a little bit and started to feel a little bit better and started to have a little bit more energy. Today, for example, I went for 2 short walks. Um, I went for a walk after breakfast for about 10 minutes or so. And then this afternoon after lunchtime, I went for a little longer walk for about maybe 12 to 15 minutes, which doesn't sound like a whole lot. And I didn't go very fast or very far, probably a total of 2 or 3 blocks altogether through my neighborhood, if that. But it's better than doing nothing. And I have to do that every day. Showering has been interesting. I'm able to shower on my own, and I can shower. As far as dealing with the wounds themselves, I've got 6 puncture wounds in my abdomen. No, I'm not going to show them to you, but they're there. They are healing well. The worst part of the post-surgery treatment at the hospital was when they removed the drain. I woke up with 2 tubes coming out of me, one the catheter coming out of my groin, but then I also woke up with a drain coming out of my abdomen, which was something I did not know I was going to have. No one explained that to me ahead of time. And a nice little nurse practitioner came in Wednesday afternoon before I was discharged to remove the drain. It hurts. It hurts a lot. It They tell you to take a deep. She told me to take a deep breath, and then as I exhaled, she started pulling and pulling and pulling. The drain was a good 2 feet long that came out of me. It literally felt like somebody was pulling my intestines out through my belly button. And it was a very uncomfortable 10 seconds. The pain did resolve itself, however, relatively quickly. Within about 10 or 15 minutes, that part of it, that sensation went away. But I'm not going to lie to you, for about 15 or 20 minutes, you're going to feel like crap when they take that thing out of you. But it does get better. And now it's fine. I mean, I don't feel anything. So anyway, so that's where I am now. I will check in later when I think it's appropriate to do so. But I hope that this helps some guys. The bottom line is that I'm really glad that I did this. Never having been sick before, psychologically, it's been very weird because as I walked into the hospital Tuesday morning, I felt great. I felt 100%. If they hadn't told me that I was sick, I wouldn't have known I was sick. But I sure felt sick when I left the hospital, but yet they were telling me that I was now healthy. So that's a little weird to get used to psychologically, but I get it. And the bottom line is that I've got nothing but good things to say about the staff at UW Health and Dr. Gerard and his team. They were magnificent. And I think they saved my life. So anyway, so that's it for now, and I'll see you soon.